see how are they going to be able to handle 2025 Crossfire. Are they going to be able to do it comfortably against KingZero, which is probably a nice ramp into the year for them internationally speaking. You know, it's not like you're going up against one of the top teams in the world, one of the favorites. So I think expectations definitely very high for AlQadsiah. But then on the other side of the coin, KingZero, well, can they manage to do something impressive for their region as well and start to kick off EWC quite nicely for the Chinese Crossfire teams?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the piece that I'm kind of looking at and putting a lot of focus on is for, you know, AlQadsiah, the fact that they have played so much international competition, have been able to play, you know, the distance, you know, for last year's, you know, major in the final, you know, for 2-3 record that they went against EP, which, you know, that was a pretty amazing feat. The fact they got themselves in second place. And then, like you said, I mean, the summer champs, you know, that was a little bit different. But look, we could talk and ramble about it all we want, but we're finally going to be able to get this thing underway, which is going to be the first map of Port. And this is going to be the pick here for AlQadsiah to see what they've been able to do in the little bit of the off period and see if they got themselves some preparation.
Yeah, very interested to see how this one plays out. Obviously, picking into Port, always a bit of a scary prospect. It means you're typically going to be starting on that blacklist side, which, again, as we know, Port has generally been considered a little bit more GR-sided, probably the most GR-sided map in the pool outside of maybe the previous Mexico, although that has changed up in more recent times. So there is some risk in picking into this one, though I will say in the more recent seasons of CFWL, at least for the West League, we've seen actually quite a bit more success happening on that blacklist side. Now, whether that's come from teams just getting better on the blacklist side, maybe some of the weapon changes as well, can't really put your finger on it necessarily, but I think there's definitely a lot to be said for AlQadsiah picking into Port here and coming in with a strong BL side. If they can do that, you know, that's a real gauntlet that's going to be thrown down, not just for KingZero, but for all of the teams watching this game, knowing that they'll have to face AlQadsiah in the future.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because really, like, both these teams, like when you kind of just talking about their, you know, domestic leagues and like how well they play on this map, like it's actually dead even. Like we're talking AlQadsiah sitting at a 5-5 record.
Right.
You know, we see that KingZero sitting themselves in a 4-4. And like, again, there's a lot of argument you can make in this, right? Because I think we all agree that, you know, the CFPL is definitely the more fierce competition and high level play. But I mean, I can't take anything away here for Brazil. Like, I mean, Sneaky made a really good point. Like it is one of the best, you know, second best region in the entire game. But things are getting underway. Now we're finally down to the 46 seconds remaining on this, and you can see that AlQadsiah is kind of finally getting themselves ready to go for the plan of attack. MG does find that first opening duel finally, so now KingZero shaking a little bit in the boots, and they got to make a little bit more of a heavy lifting here, Jordan, because they're already down a player.
Yeah, MG going to be an important factor here for AlQadsiah, the sniper for this roster. Able to stand tall on the international stage. That entry attempt comes through and VNC goes down quite early. Nice crossfire setup for KingZero, and they are just wiping the floor with that attempt from AlQadsiah, who will be disappointed with that round. You know, it's not every day that you get an opening pick on a BL round, so you really want to be converting on those kinds of rounds, but you know, they don't really do anything too special in that one, do they, Laz? You know, they get that opening pick, 40 seconds left on the clock, they just hit B and kind of get wiped the floor with. They didn't really try to push and pull the rotates. They didn't really put too much pressure on KingZero in that respect. So good response from KingZero. First round on the board on the GR side.
Yeah, a little bit of a disappointment though, but you know, for AlQadsiah, so they're going to try to, you know, finally react a little bit better now. We're starting to see the kill feeds loading in their favor. So they finally put that little bit of frustration into work, and now they get themselves 3 players down, just leaving it down to 9U and now YF. This is now the last 2 remaining players here for KingZero, and they're already just bombarded here with smokes and utility. They're getting pushed back. They have nothing to work with, and look at all that HP that is just completely just gone away, and that's going to be a nice little bit of a kill. But Jordan, I mean, this is just feeling like you're really just shooting in a barrel. You're really just hoping to find something in this moment.
Yeah, much nicer round out from AlQadsiah. You know, they get that pick and immediately they're sort of already out onto the site. There's the retake attempt here from the remaining couple of KZ members, but as you can imagine, it's not likely to be happening. YF very low, almost just playing for the KD at this point. He's not interested in going for the retake, so keeping that 2-0 scoreline alive. Knew that round was over and done with, but yeah, I think AlQadsiah / Vasco, you know, if we're going to continue to talk historically speaking, have always been an interesting team in terms of the maps that they've liked to pick into. Nao was kind of highlighting a little bit on the desk there that they were a team that often liked to go towards Mexico.
Yeah.
And that was part of the reason why KingZero had banned that map away. And I think Port, to an extent, is the same kind of mentality. You know, it's not a map that most teams necessarily love to play. You know, when you think about the CROSSFIRE map pool as a whole, you look at Ankara and Black Widow and Compound probably being like the more standard maps. You know, a lot of teams like to play sub-base as well. But Port's definitely out a little bit more on the extremities in the same way that Mexico always was, in the same way that maybe Eagle Eye is too. So I think, you know, having this in your map pool is a good one. You can pick into it quite comfortably, knowing that a lot of teams aren't super keen to go onto it. And it has that same mentality in that, you know, you're going to go, well, we're going to pick the map, we're going to play the weaker side, and we're going to do well on that weaker side, and that already is going to set the tempo for the game. So I think that's the same mentality for AlQadsiah as picking into something like a Mexico. And we're getting that already. I mean, a 1-1 scoreline to start things off here for AlQadsiah is quite acceptable on the BL side. And KingZero will have a little bit of work to do. You know, you're typically looking for something, you know, maybe in the realms of a 7-2 half to start off on the GR side. So long way to go for KingZero. Maybe 6-3 you could get away with.
Yeah.
But 6-3, 7-2 is where you want to be hitting as the GR side. So it doesn't take much for AlQadsiah to get a favorable half out of this one.
Yeah, honestly, if they could be able to put themselves in, you know, that little bit of a buffer and then transition over to the GR side, that's just going to make them feel so much better, especially for this being their map pick. But now you can see they're getting themselves onto the on the catwalk. They're going to be able to get themselves dropped off on this. YF's just playing a little bit of the off angle again, allowing him to have that opportunity for that first shot onto the long, but also maybe even to get the flick of the wrist behind the player on the box. But they're waiting things out. They're really just, again, playing this very slow, very methodical. They don't want to go too antsy on this. They're really putting a lot of thought into this one. They don't want to overexert themselves, but again, we have to talk about the time. There's 30 seconds remaining. They have to get things underway. Now the flashes get thrown. Utility is just raining, but look at this shot. Beautifully done. KingZero being able to find themselves the first opening too. But is that going to be enough? And indeed it will. You can already see MG all the way in the back lines. There's nothing here. So now we're going to see KingZero once again putting up the barricade in a fantastic hold here for the GR side.
Yeah, AlQadsiah, they were almost there in that round. You know, like they actually half pulled the rotate. You could see just as the execute was starting on the A side, a couple of the KingZero members were kind of rotating back through GR spawn. It was MG that was trying to throw the fake over towards B, but I don't think he really committed enough to it. You know, he threw a smoke, he threw maybe a flash, and then he started to work his way back over to A. It's not going to be enough to fool these teams at the top level of competition, right? You need to be doing a little bit more than that. So if they're going to try and fake them out, I think you at least need MG to actually walk out warehouse, maybe in an ideal world, find an opening pick, and that would really start to sell the fake, and then those rotates are going to commit. But those rotates really only committed for maybe like 1 second, half a second. They were like half thinking about leaving, and then immediately they recognized we go back over towards A because that's where the real hit is coming through. So a pretty heads-up play from KingZero, obviously not having too many issues on the stage so far, whereas it's a bit tougher. The going's a bit tougher here for AlQadsiah. I think, you know, the first round where they got the opening pick courtesy of MG, weren't able to convert it. That's obviously a less than ideal moment for them. And then even this round here, right, like you see the ethos, you see what they're trying to do in the round, but it's just not quite hitting in the way that they'd like it to. Maybe, you know, going up against stronger level competition, like that might work in Brazil against the domestic competition. You know, a domestic team might over-rotate knowing that they're up against a team like AlQadsiah. They give them that respect, whatever. But maybe you're not necessarily going to get that when you're playing at an event like the Esports World Cup, where you do have the best teams in the world. And again, granted, we're talking about KingZero as being the 5th best team in China based on the most recent run of, you know, CFPL results and how they qualified to this tournament and whatnot.
Exactly.
They're the 5th seed from China here at Esports World Cup, but that still puts them probably head and shoulders above a lot of the domestic competition that you're going to be facing. So some adaptations are going to be required, certainly from Feifei as obviously the in-game leader, but also from AlQadsiah, the rest of the roster, as they once again try to work their way into that international competition in 2025, and we talked about the context of how things played out in 2024. I think definitely a team to keep an eye on this year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and honestly, the one thing I've kind of noticed so far, and this is when we get to, you know, the clashes of the different regions, right? Like we were talking about this, you know, Brazil versus China. You know, I think we always see a lot of these, you know, Chinese teams that do have an aggression. They like to play very, you know, in your face and get aggressive. But we also see that once in a while from Brazil as well. I mean, they do typically like to play slow. They like to kind of wait things out. But if we talk about even just this game right now, we're only a few rounds in, but we see, you know, AlQadsiah, like they're able to get that initial following round after they actually put a little bit of acceleration into it, right? They actually started to put a little bit more pressure. They won the round quite convincingly, but it's now when they're playing a bit too slow, that's what I'm kind of wondering if maybe it's just not the right game plan for this. So I do hope that, there will be a bit of a conversation with the coach to go, okay, look, like maybe we really do need to just kind of not like just hold W and, go frag, but like kind of in some sense, like try to find those opening duels, and that's what they were really successful about before.
Well, it's funny that you should mention that because there is a pocket strategy that AlQadsiah likes to run.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, we got some information coming through from the team themselves, and one of the strategies that they sort of highlighted was it's called X5, which I imagine is just like kill 5, like get rid of, delete 5 players. In Brazil, they call it X5 when they play without tactics and they just press W and kill everyone.
Well, there you go.
So
that's exactly it.
That's what round 2 was it not? Like it was like we got the opening pick in Warehouse. We're gonna just send it into the B bomb site and we're just gonna kill everyone.
And that's what I loved. Like honestly, like because that we both were kind of like scratching our heads on the first initial round because MG was able to get the first shot with the sniper. We're like, okay, this is good. They're able to get that first opening duel. We thought that was going to be easy for them to get themselves in that B site, but then they kind of just played this very weird, slow peeking out of the house, and we were like, hey, what are you doing? And it just kind of again this overthinking, and we got to talk about nerves too, right? Like I mean, these guys are all experienced, but I mean, again, this is some of the biggest stages of their lives, so this is still a lot of pressure for them, and like just getting yourself underway and just trying to get a little bit more comfortable. I think we are going to see a little bit of those nerves, but thankfully we don't have to worry about the tech issue too much longer. We're back into this game, but KINGZERO were able to get that previous round very convincingly. So now we'll see if this little bit of a gap is allowed AlQadsiah some time to figure out their game plan a little bit better.
Yeah, certainly. You'd hope so. I mean, they probably weren't allowed to talk during that tech timeout, or that tech timeout, I should say, but would have given Feifei at least a little bit of time as the in-game leader to have a little bit of a think about where do I want to go with this next round? How do we want to approach this one? I think there has been a bit of a tendency so far from AlQadsiah to, like you say, play a little bit too slow in some instances. And now it looks like they're going to change that up. They're going to try and take a bit of space early on in the round. So working their way in towards middle, which is reasonably undefended by KINGZERO. I'd say it's a fairly standard setup, though, from KINGZERO. They do have a bit of a heavier stack over towards A, but not anything too out of this world. So we'll see how AlQadsiah is able to react to that as VNC will make the drop unspotted by YF up on the site. But this is a pretty menacing-looking crossfire being established by KINGZERO.
Yeah, it really is. And even now, the fact that 9U is actually pushing through, look at that. That's so much info. Even again, just getting that one kill, that's a ton of info because now the rotates are going to come through. And just like you said, this crossfire is perfect right now. And XN, the fact that he's able to activate the rifle of the MG, it's just becoming a problem after a problem here for AlQadsiah. Ooh, hang on though.
Not over yet though. 2-on-2 action, very low, but unable to get back out, and he's disappointed by that. You could tell that he knew if he was able to get out, that round was on. But now that he's down, C4's been dropped on long. YF will be just jiggle peeking that line and keeping an eye on these things. MG though, not a bad clutcher himself. He's known for it, and in the clutch here, again to highlight something that was said on the desk, Neo. Kind of comparing MG to Gokun as the GOAT and the GOAT-to-be of Brazilian sniping.
It's a bold statement.
It's a bold statement, certainly. I'm not sure that anyone's ever going to really live up to Gokun personally, but MG does have that same kind of clutch capability as what we've seen from Gokun in the past, or at least he tries to.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity, but with 14 seconds, it's going to be too much to ask. That's a 3-1 lead for KINGZERO. So the tack timeout potentially coming through there as well. I mean, the pause came through. So I'm imagining this will be, it looks like a tech timeout again for AlQadsiah, but I mean, still a lot to talk about here. Obviously, again, just breaking down the setup there from KINGZERO. They had the perfect setup on the A bomb site, just to make sure that they had the defenses that were required when AlQadsiah hits that site. You see the 3 players there. I think typically you're probably only expecting 2, and that's why the player at the boxes is able to get himself such an easy double kill, right? Like when that hit comes through, VNC is the first player to go down. He's the guy that dropped. He spots 9U on the push. Then as he goes down, there's a sniper shot that comes through from the site. You say, okay, those are the 2 players that are defending the site. There'll be a rotator coming from mid and 2 over towards B. So they don't actually properly clear the site as they're trying to make their way forward there, AlQadsiah. And inevitably, that nice timing really comes through from that extra player on the bomb site, the unexpected player. And that's ultimately where that round kind of falls apart. MG gets a lot of space on the clutch, on the 2-on-1, but he doesn't get a kill. So he wasn't really anywhere close to actually closing that round out. And Yeah, this is definitely a rough start for AlQadsiah, one of the teams that we had high expectations for in this tournament. And, you know, losing to KingZero could be a really big problem for them. I mean, this group, you do have Twisted Minds and Gaming Gladiators. So I think at least in the case of Gaming Gladiators, we probably don't have a huge amount of hope. Maybe even you could say the same for Twisted Minds, but these are two teams that could cause an upset here or there. So you have a bad game against KingZero. You know, you're all of a sudden, if you drop to either a Gaming or a Twisted Minds, you may not make it out of this group.
Yeah, exactly. Did we all agree that the, you know, when we talk about the 4 groups, like, did we all agree that Group C was like the group of death?
Group of death, yep.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I really, you know, that one.
That's cooked, yeah.
That is the most cooked group ever. I mean, you'd have Team Falcons, Baisha, EP, like, man, Inner Circle, you know, for them getting an international debut, like, yeah, talk about a dark horse.
It's you know, like Inner Circle's like the little fish in the big pond here, right?
100%.
Like, you're just like, where am I?
Yeah.
How did I get here?
Yeah, a little bit of a Finding Nemo kind of situation, I think. Yeah, going into the wrong area, but we'll see. I mean, that's where maybe the big storyline will come through, but we'll wait until we get there. But I do agree with you. I think the one interesting thing about this group too is, you know, just kind of shifting over for the other game of Gaming Gladiators, you know, taking on Twisted Minds. We both kind of, I think, are agreeing that both these teams are, I would say they're very evenly matched. I probably would give a little bit of a leg up onto Twisted Minds, but you know, for Gaming Gladiators, they have Spoxy, arguably, in my opinion, probably one of the best snipers or top 5 snipers in the world. Like, he is very good. It's more about him just getting that international experience, him playing on the big stage, playing a little bit more like he does at home online. So we'll find out. But I mean, that will also be a very, very good matchup to see because, yeah, like you said, depending on how this one goes, I mean, you're not gonna have an easy one to line up for the second game.
Yeah. That is for sure. Great info gathering from 9U in that round.
That was such a nice play for them.
But we're back in. 3-1 is the scoreline, and AlQadsiah need to do something pretty quick about this half. If this starts to run away from them, KingZero will get that confidence and be a problem for AlQadsiah. So this time, certainly not making any secrets of where they're hanging out. That is a lot of util tossed in on the A side of the map, and KingZero responding accordingly with a grenade of their own. That's going to give Feifei a little bit of a tickle.
Yeah, the one thing I'm really happy about what they're doing here too for AlQadsiah is the fact that they're not just playing everybody on the catwalk anymore. This time they're actually a little bit more spread out. Again, just kind of, you know, spreading around the map and playing a bit more defaulty in the sense of just waiting to see if KingZero are going to try to overextend a little bit, because that's what happened previously. That's where 9U was able to find that one kill. Even though it's one kill, like we said, there was so much impact just because of information, and then they were able to get those rotates. So that's really important that AlQadsiah has kind of been able to go, you know what, okay, look, let's go right back down to the basics. Let's not overcomplicate this. Let's just wait things out. And now they get the opening duel. That's the most important thing. But right now, this is going to be important as well. Because right now for YSH, he's able to get that one kill, but my goodness, it's just a little bit of a back and forth, but the bomb is dropped here. This is not good here, Jordan, because now they got to fight.
That mid-fight is huge. Feifei getting that kill, it's allowed him to walk all the way in and around onto the B-bomb site. Like you said, though, getting the C4 is actually the priority one right now for AlQadsiah. This round has been thrown into a bit of a loop, fox among the henhouse, so to speak. It's another crucial duel or two going the way of KingZero. YF and Bin stepping up. Double for Bin, and it's just Feifei left alive. That's another really bad round to lose for AlQadsiah. They had so many advantages, so many opportunities, and they're not able to close them out. So KingZero looking fantastic. You've got, by the way, Harlan, who is a world champion in his own right, as the coach of this team. Won back in 2015 with HG Clan. That was actually the first CROSSFIRE tournament that I ever worked on, so shout out Harlan one time for that. But he was in that HG Clan roster between 2011 and 2018. Really renowned roster in China, obviously, and so someone with a lot of experience. He's been around CROSSFIRE for a very long time, so having him in this roster, which is, look, let's be real, a bit of a fresher face on the international stage, KingZero, I think is a really massive bonus for them to have that kind of experience coming through, and certainly seems like it's shining nicely. Now we've got the boost from AlQadsiah in mid this time around. MG looking for his opportunity, but can't quite see XN over the smoke. Does eventually get a bit of info, but ends up actually copping more than he gives. So overall, the opening favoring KingZero so far for round number 6.
Yeah, and the one thing we didn't really even get to talk a lot about too is, you know, like for us in the CFWL, like we were talking a lot about the guns, right? We said that this was kind of, again, the new shift in the meta. We were kind of wondering how some of these teams were going to adapt a little bit to it. I mean, I think there's always a lot of argument about it. I think it's definitely created a lot more conversation with some players that are probably going to be a little bit more beneficial, like statistically with some of the guns that have been added back in, which makes a huge difference. But right now, I mean, it doesn't look like that's the case for AlQadsiah, but oh my goodness, that is beautiful from X10. Just goes for a big swing, able to find this double. And again, they just annihilate everything in their path, and AlQadsiah, they don't seem to have any sort of an answer. And it's just Feifei all by himself, just again scratching his head in the big water going, what's going on, boys?
Yeah, I mean, this is starting to become a bit of a disaster for AlQadsiah. They were expected to be a really big contender at this tournament, and suffering at the hands of KINGZERO at the moment. Now, the one saving grace, of course, has got to be they are playing on the BL side, right? And the BL side is not expected to do phenomenally on this map, but a 5-1 deficit is starting to get a bit egregious.
This is really, really nerve-wracking now for them. Like they have these rounds have not even been close. Like I think we've had 2 rounds in a row now that are going to be essentially flawless, unless XN, you know, goes for the big swing. He just tries to go for information here, but I think for AlQadsiah, they're going to have to figure something out really quickly here. Like they've done nothing that's been impressive. They've just been getting swept the entire time. It's going to be one little bit of a gimme kill here, but they know exactly where he is. There's no time remaining. A 5-1 Jordan. This is very impressive from KINGZERO. I had a lot of being very skeptical about them just because of what we saw at ACL earlier on this year. But this is already looking like a new and improved KINGZERO. I'm all for it.
Yeah, most definitely. The thing is, though, it comes with the disappointment of AlQadsiah, you know, and I think if I had to choose one, I probably would want AlQadsiah to be at their best.
Yeah.
Because they're a team that really felt like they could contest with the best and potentially be the best. And maybe that peak has already fallen. Maybe that opportunity is a one and done for this core of this roster. Who knows? You know, we set up all these storylines around how they could come into 2025 and make amends for the second place finish in 2024 that would have felt so painful in the OT. But the way things are going at the moment, that's potentially a conversation for later on in the week. I think right now it's just get it together, boys. Bin here to try to defend again. Can't get anything done this time around. And so KINGZERO, a massive gap opened up on that B-bomb side, is going to allow AlQadsiah back out. XN can only get himself one before falling. And this is the best opportunity for AlQadsiah to find themselves another round. Got to get that plant down. They are attempting to do so quickly. There'll be 3 players to retake from GR spawn. KINGZERO not messing about at all. They're just running them down. It's a 1-4-2 though, and that is not at all what KINGZERO needs. YF to try to clutch out the 2-on-1. What a shot. How is he still alive? Hiding inside. No! There's no way. KINGZERO have just won that round. AlQadsiah are being put in the dirt, and KINGZERO are running away with map 1.
You've got to be kidding me. There's no way that he should have been able to find himself in that kind of a position to be able to get those kind of kills. Again, this is where we just kind of sit back and go, like, what is AlQadsiah doing? Like, this is, they had it in the bag. They had themselves a 3v1 post-plant. Everything was looking good, and they just thought, you know what, who cares? We're going to be able to frag him out. What an amazing amount of shots and work right now from YF, just putting himself, sitting at a 10-0 nonetheless as well. My goodness, just what a way for AlQadsiah to be just getting deeper and deeper on the scoreline.
Yeah, that is just not a round that you can afford to lose as AlQadsiah. That is a mental breaker, and that could potentially lose them this entire series if they can't recover from it. And it doesn't look like they're recovering from it. This is heading in the direction of a 7-1, though there is at least a trade that does come back through from Silver. So 4-on-3, not impossible to win for AlQadsiah, but the deck is stacked against them at the moment.
You know, and the one thing we noticed as well is, like, for AlQadsiah, they were putting themselves in positions where they were able to find those opening duels. And even when they were, it still didn't even mean they were converting the rounds. And now we're seeing KINGZERO, they're the ones that are just finding the opening duels, and they're just mixing everything up. Like, they've completely mixed the playbook. They've mixed everything up for AlQadsiah. They don't have any idea. Like, they have nothing to work with. They don't know what the first ingredient is for making this recipe happen.
If you are AlQadsiah at this point, you are just hoping that KINGZERO have an absolutely shocking second half here.
Exactly.
They've got to be, basically they've got to be awful on the blacklist side, or they've got to completely throw them out on sub-base, and, you know, maybe you go to Ankara and win that, because this is not looking salvageable at the moment for AlQadsiah. Look, if they get the second and they start the second half well, you know, maybe you can start to make a storyline there, but AlQadsiah are just looking completely out of it at the moment.
This is really concerning because this is definitely not the performance that we were expecting, and this is very lackluster from them. Like, I was expecting a lot out of them. This is, again, the performance just like these rounds haven't even been close, Jordan. That's the thing that's, I think, really, really surprising. Like, if this would be down to like 2v2s or the 1v1s, that's a whole other conversation. But like the fact that KINGZERO, with so much, confidence, they were able to win these rounds just tenfold. Like they've essentially had so many flawless rounds. Like, again, you got to give a lot of kudos for them, but also you kind of just sit back and go, like, what's going on here?
No, you're definitely right. I mean, the rounds that KINGZERO are winning have been clean, and the rounds that AlQadsiah have almost won have been clutched out by KINGZERO, So you're either winning rounds comfortably as KINGZERO, or AlQadsiah is kind of like losing the rounds that they're supposed to win. So it's a lose-lose for AlQadsiah and a win-win for KINGZERO. Once again, they're going to try and shift their way towards B. You do have a bit of warehouse control and mid-con control for AlQadsiah here. But it looks like KINGZERO are happy to let them have that for the moment. Just a quick flash into mid there from, I think it was YF, who's holding GR spawn. Oh, it was XN. A little bit of info being gathered by XN. You do have a big stack over on B, which, it's a read really from KINGZERO more than anything. They haven't got any info that would indicate that this should be a B hold. Now they're kind of wondering, okay, have we made the right decision? So they'll pop a little flash forward there for YSH to have a look into warehouse. He doesn't see anything, so now that rotation shifts its way back into middle, but again, KINGZERO with the read that this is going to be a B finish, and they are going to be proven correct.
Yeah, again, these opening duels for them, this has really been a nice little bit of a turning page for them. So now we're going to see AlQadsiah. They're finally going to try to accelerate into this. But look at that, man. They just run right into a blender. Nothing. Like, they find one kill. That's it.
Yeah, it's just such a great read again from KINGZERO, right? Like, they've had the stack on the correct bomb site multiple times in a row. Remember the round on A, where there was a player hiding behind the box that comes out late. In this instance, they have their 2 players, obviously plus the one that initially died, on that site as well, which makes it so much more difficult. And they already had kind of a pre-rotate already coming through for KINGZERO. So just perfect reads, basically, on this GR side, stacking the right side every time. 8 1/2. I mean, that is... It should be unsalvageable right here for AlQadsiah. So. I mean, never say never, obviously, but coming back from an 8-1 deficit, even on the GR side of Port, I think is going to be a really tough ask.
Yeah, that is asking a ton out of them right now. But look, like you said, if they're able to get this first round, maybe get things moving around, a couple rounds, that night just allow them to kind of build things up. And then we're talking about a closer game. But again, this round is really going to be the telling point, because if they can't, then this just really puts KINGZERO on the map point already. That's a nice little bit of an opener here from KINGZERO. So now Feifei's already been dropped. Now Silva's trying to get aggressive on his own, but he goes by himself. He has nobody there to help him with reinforcements, and they're just falling apart one by one, putting this still for a 4-on-2 advantage right now for KINGZERO, and they are just completely getting themselves in a good position. But now, AlQadsiah, what are they going to do with this? They're going for fights in the smoke.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that was what you want, actually, if you're AlQadsiah. YSH giving the 1v1 over to VNC, but VNC's not hitting anything at the moment, man. You don't like to highlight a poor performance, but he's really, really struggling, and he is typically one of those players that is on the front foot for AlQadsiah. He's the guy that's sort of like the enforcer. He's a more aggressive player, and if he's not getting it done, then that burden goes on to other players, and, well, Action is one of those, and he now has to win a 1v3, which is going to be impossible. And we are now 1 round away from KINGZERO essentially sweeping AlQadsiah on their map pick. It might as well at this point be a 10-0 the way things have been going, because this has just been an utterly dominant display.
Yeah, like AlQadsiah, the only round they won was the second round in this game, and then everything's just been full speed ahead here for KINGZERO. So yeah, I think the analyst desk is going to have a lot to talk about when we get to the end of this, because, I mean, this map is definitely not what we were expecting. Finally, MG getting himself right back in a little bit of fighting form, finding that first opening duel. But again, he's sitting in a 3-8. Like, he's not putting himself sitting pretty with the scoreline, but that's what they need. We now need to see some activation out of him quickly. Yeah,
I think MG's a great point here. Obviously, being on the GR side of Port, it is typically a very sniper-centric map, so MG does need to activate, and if he can, that is the way back in here for AlQadsiah, but it's going to have to be perfection now for them, as KINGZERO are going to try their hand at an A hit. Some util going over the top. It's not quite worked out for them. Action getting rolling in middle there. That one pretty routine for AlQadsiah. I think more of a probing attempt really from KINGZERO. They know, look, we don't need to work too hard to finish this map off, so let's just throw, some basically some dummy executes and see if we can get it done. You know, let's not try and give away too much on this BL side early on in the tournament. We'll just pop a couple of flashes over the top. If they're bad enough to lose to this round, great, we finish the map off. If they're not, okay, well, we've still got plenty left in the tank. So I don't think KingZero is too concerned about that one at all. That was a bit more of a default take than anything else. And they were down 4-5 in that round as well, so that made matters a little worse. So a second on the board for AlQadsiah, but it's definitely not anything worth getting excited about just yet.
No, definitely not. I mean, that, like you said, it's them just kind of preserving the strats and them just kind of doing whatever with it. They have a lot of room that they can work with. But the one thing that's interesting, too, for AlQadsiah is the fact that they're double snipering. So Silva's actually the one that's going to equip it with MG. So they're going to try to mix things up a little bit here for the GR side. The pause is already being called, so this is going to be interesting. I'm imagining maybe that was from KingZero potentially, maybe just to kind of clean things up a little bit, but this round's still going to be into effect. This round is still commencing, but ATK is trying to get a little bit aggro, but this is dangerous because he's trying to get some intel, but if YSH was actually going to commit to the swing, that could have been a free opening duel here for KingZero. Ooh.
XN spotted him.
He definitely spotted the top of his head.
So now that you know there's a forward hold, this is where the long players actually do come into play. Because if you can maybe pick the player up on the site, action is just completely dead. They're going to try and crunch him, and XN wins the duel anyway. So goes from bad to worse, really, for AlQadsiah, as now it is just a solo hold on the site. Silva hanging on with that secondary sniper, the TRG in his hand. He's not going to be able to connect with that one. It has not been given many opportunities either. Util landing on his head. And 9U to finish it off. Gets the second entry onto the bomb site as well. Feifei down. He goes for more. Will be traded out by YSH. And I think that might be map 1 done and dusted. It is down to MG to try to clutch this one out 1v4. And it is not going to happen. A 10-2 for KingZero as they throw the gauntlet down. They slap the gauntlet in the face of AlQadsiah and say, what about that one, lads?
Yeah, honestly, really stellar performance here for KingZero. There was a lot of question marks out. We were all talking about saying, like, look, are we going to see the same KingZero we saw earlier this year where they didn't do really well on the maps? No, it's a very different team. Revitalized. You can tell that everything looks a lot better and improved. So, man, oh man, whatever they did in the lab, I'm more than impressed right now because that is a star performance. A 10-2, and the fact that all your players essentially were, you know, playing the full abilities, that's what you need. It wasn't just like a one-man or two-man carry. This was a full team effort that allowed them to get this map pick that was AlQadsiah's. Let's not forget that point.
Yeah, you certainly could not ask for a better start to the tournament here at EWC than what has been achieved by those 5 players right there. I mean, a 10-2 on your opponent's map pick. In theory, it should get easier from here. You know, you're moving into sub-base. That's your choice. You're feeling good. But then again, one thing that I would associate with AlQadsiah is mental toughness, tenacity, right? They are the team that pushed Evolution Power all the way to 5 maps, all the way to the OT in the grand finals of CFS 2024. So let's not count them out just yet. They are definitely down, but they are not out. We'll find out if they can, you know, figure it out here in this, 10-minute break that they're going to get between maps. They've got a lot of talking that they need to do. You can see actually here, still having a chat at the PCs, and KingZero taking a step away. So the question is, Laz, will they be able to come back here in map 2, AlQadsiah? Well, we'll find out when we come back for the second map.
Reach your impossible, Lenovo Legion.
Welcome back to Esports World Cup Crossfire, as we are right now underway with our very first match. And Laz, I have to say, it hasn't really been much of a match so far.
No, it really wasn't. It was a good start performance here from KINGZERO. A 10-2 was the final scoreline, but boy, oh boy, yeah, 3-minute break. I don't know, AlQadsiah, like, is that going to be enough time for them to really figure things out? Because now we go into the map pick of Subbase, which is here for KINGZERO. So like you said a little bit earlier, when you win your opponent's map pick, that's always going to feel really good. But now AlQadsiah, they are a team known for the, going through the grit and going through the grind. But boy, oh boy, it is going to be a grind to get themselves up a map like this.
Yeah, certainly. I don't even know if AlQadsiah left the stage or if they were just
I don't think they did.
Talking the whole time.
I think they all sat there and were talking. And honestly, you know what? I don't even hate that either, because I think
tension.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, like a little bit of a conversation, and yeah, we're not having a break. You guys aren't, you guys got to dial in. Like that was, they were absent. They were shells of themselves. That was not even remotely close to a performance we've ever seen from them. Like nobody found activation. Like we saw MG getting these odd kills, but really nothing from him. VNC, like he didn't find himself anything with a rifle. No. It was just disappointing all around.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's brutal sometimes, right? Especially on these opening days of the tournament, or if you're playing the first game, something like that. You don't get necessarily a lot of time to acclimatize. I don't know exactly how long the players have been here, and I did have a couple of the Vietnamese teams actually on my flight in to Riyadh, so they would have arrived 2 days ago, which was the same as us, obviously, but maybe the Brazilian guys came a little bit later. You yourself were the same evening that I arrived at 8 a.m. You arrived at more or less like 8 p.m. So that gives you 12 less hours, obviously, to acclimatize, and you're straight into the games, basically. Everyone's still kind of like trying to find their feet on the time zone and whatnot. That's obviously not necessarily an excuse, but
it does play a factor.
It can play a factor, and to be fair, can you use it as an excuse when the team coming from China also is suffering like 7-8 hour time difference? It's not unreasonable to expect them to struggle as well, but they come out and absolutely dominate. So don't know what's going on for AlQadsiah here, but certainly hasn't been the start that we had hoped, and not the one that they had hoped either. But that does not mean that it isn't over and done just yet. A Subbase does await, and we have seen this team playing a bit of Subbase in the past as well, so hopefully they'll have a thing or two for us ready to go. Otherwise, this is going to be quite a quick first match. Yeah,
this could be a really, really quick one. But again, both these teams, respectively, like, in their domestic leagues, like, they have very strong records. Like, even for a team like AlQadsiah, like, they're sitting themselves at a 16-3, win to loss ratio. And, for a team like KINGZERO, 15-9, which is, again, still a very strong performance. But again, we kind of compare the regions a little bit. KINGZERO is also playing some of the best teams in the world, like, AGs, the Baishas of the world, like you name it, like EP, like the list goes on. So the competition definitely is more of an advantage for them. So I think it's interesting that they did go for this pick. I mean, they've proven that they have played well on it, but again, we're gonna have to see if that little bit of a break allowed AlQadsiah to get themselves back into hitting shots and getting the motor running, so to speak.
Yeah, that motor is going to have to get running as we are about to get underway onto Subbase, and it is not traditionally a map that is super associated with the Chinese teams, but again, KINGZERO picking into it, so you do have to give them the benefit of the doubt for this one. I mean, at this stage, I have to predict a 2-0, Laz. I feel like there's no argument really against it. Yeah,
no, honestly, I don't even blame you for that, because I just think the way we saw AlQadsiah playing, I don't know if maybe today is just very much an off day, like you said. So I definitely think there's a huge conversation here for the 2-0. Would I love to see it go all the way? Absolutely. But even then, it'd be AlQadsiah. That'd be the third decider, which is even more madness to think about as well.
Oh, and this is aggressive already from KINGZERO. You can see them really trying to set the pace, the tempo for the map. Nice push down into wood from 9U. Does actually get caught out by Feifei, but the intention is there at least for KINGZERO to continue to dictate how this game plays out.
Yeah, no, that is the one thing that's interesting, because now KINGZERO, again, like you said, getting a little bit more aggro. I think they're feeling it, right? That confidence, they're starting to feel pretty good about getting a 10-2 victory on the first map. So maybe a little bit of overconfidence, but it's also just kind of seeing how AlQadsiah is going to be, formulating their game plan. I think they were just trying to experiment, and I don't even hate this. So, but the point I brought in the first map going into this one too is the fact that even though AlQadsiah was still getting those first opening duels, it didn't even mean they won the round. It was actually not even a benefit for them at all. It actually would just be a 5-on-4, advantage for them, and then they would just get clobbered anywhere they went.
Big nade stack over into lockers.
Perfect stack once again, too. Like, look, 3 players are just committed to this B side. Like, they've done some homework.
That is true.
I love it.
Yeah, it leaves quite a lot on the shoulders of XN because he does have to spot in through the double doors just to make sure no one's actually crossing into A. But he's also got to be aware of the vent drop into his proximity as well. But a slower approach from AlQadsiah. And again, if you take into account how Port played out, these slower rounds typically didn't work for them. And again, as mentioned, big stack over on this B-bomb site. And guess where AlQadsiah are headed? YF hits the first shot with the TRG. He spots an extra couple of players on his exit as well. And so KINGZERO not going to be moving any bodies off of this site. Apart from those of AlQadsiah, they are just sending them packing at the moment. Another great hole from KINGZERO. And AlQadsiah, once again, they just walk into the trap.
Yeah, and the thing is like they're not even trading. Like there's not throwing bodies into the situation. Like they're just kind of going one by one.
Yep.
They're kind of just going for these really awkward encounters, and they're just allowing KINGZERO to just kind of go the 1-2-3 combination and just getting themselves in a huge amount of effort here for the round. So AlQadsiah, I don't know. Like again, this little bit of a new game plan is not really working out. Look at even that. 3 kills within 10-15 seconds of the round. They got nothing. So this is not looking good at all. Some decent shots now, a little bit more coming out of the riflers, but they're going to need a lot more than that.
They don't have the C4 though. They have the site, but they don't have the C4. And KINGZERO is about to find it. 9U is about to find the C4. He's got the C4. Oh, he's lost both of his teammates. What's going on? Action. He's popping off. Okay, there's some life here for AlQadsiah. I got to make sure they win this round. They cannot afford to lose the 2v1 against 9U. They know that he's got the bomb. He smoked it off. They know that he's got the bomb, but they've got plenty of time to find it. This round is mad. I don't even know.
Yeah, this is awkward because 9U is still in a position where he easily could win this because he doesn't have that many angles he has to clear. And look at him now. He's actually going to kind of overextend on this. He's not going to just kind of tuck away. Good. This is huge because now if he gets this 1 kill, he's turned this into a 1v1. So, they're going to group up together. This is good.
Yeah, if he would have got his timing right, he might have been able to wrap in behind them, but still a possibility.
Wow, he's going for a gamble here.
He's going for a big wrap all the way into the A site. I mean, the problem is, and this is obviously something that is inherent to CROSSFIRE with the round timer. You have so many options with a round timer that is that long, right? Like we saw 7 players dead in like 30, 40 seconds in the round. Minute 44 left when it was 2v1. So with 1 minute and 44, AlQadsiah could probably run around the map like 4 times. So they at that point they could be literally anywhere. And 9U, he's got no idea. He's got absolutely no idea where these guys are. He just has to gamble and hope that they come to his site or to his position at any given moment. And in this instance, he's gambled incorrectly, so he's going to have to retake the site 2v1, and that severely diminishes his chances now of winning this round. Time ticking away. Going to try and make his way in here from Jail. Has spotted out Action, but doesn't know exactly where VNC is. And Action's playing it nicely. Very, very passive. 9U not going to clear the rafters, and so that will be the first round on the board for AlQadsiah on map 2. Probably shouldn't have gone to them given how things started there, but at least it's a sigh of relief, that they can pull that one off. It was, I think, a 5v2, so you'll take that.
It was all down to Action, too. He was able to find himself, if I'm not even mistaken, I'm pretty sure he was the one that got the quad kill that round. And single-handedly just put that, into favor for them. So really good work from him. That was somebody that we were kind of highlighting a little bit in the beginning of this, and, the desk was just briefly talking about it. It's like, look, like he's one of those guys that can put up some decent numbers, but he was absent on the first, finally get a little bit more. But look at, again, the GR side. Like, they're just kind of pushing through radio. They're getting themselves tons of information. They're just trying to push these guys back, and they are just sitting back, waiting things out just a little bit. They're playing very scared right now. Like they know, like these deep smokes, like now there's a lot of question marks. They don't know what to expect out of this, and it's all just a ruse because KINGZERO, they make it seem like they're playing aggro, but now they're just playing a turtle setup once again.
Yep. I mean, in saying that, it's not the worst thing for AlQadsiah here. They haven't used really any of their util at all, only Silver throwing a nade. And again, like I said, you have so much time in CROSSFIRE that you can afford to just sort of give space for over a minute, wait for those smokes to dissipate, and then start to take that control, which is exactly what AlQadsiah are doing. Now they have Machine Room. Bit of presence in toward lockers as well from them. They're going to rotate their way back in towards middle and have a bit of a think about where to go. KINGZERO, for their own right, have not moved.
Not ever since they did that, deep, a little bit of smokes and things like that. Like, really, they've just kind of been turtling up this whole time. So, it's that, like I said, AlQadsiah now, with knowing how, aggressive they were, now they're being very cautious. Like, okay, where could they be? Are they going to play this cheeky little bit of an aggro aggression? We don't know. And that's why you're kind of seeing them, again, clearing every single corner because they're so worried about what's going to happen here. Now the execute's coming through. This is now where they're going to try to make something happen. Flashes galore. Now the defense, can they be able to react to it? But YSH, he can only find that one kill. Really nice execution here from AlQadsiah. The fact they can get this bomb down, a 4-on-2, surely not, Jordan, that we see them throw something away this time, because YF, he is alive, but it's short-lived.
Yeah, much, much better from AlQadsiah. The flashes were great. You could see the players on the site were really stuck in a bit of a spot of bother. YSH just having to tuck himself in the corner, waiting for that flash to dissipate, and by the time he was really ready to fight, he'd already lost 1 or 2 of his teammates. YF without really much of a chance, and maybe we can start to get rolling here in map 2. AlQadsiah given a little bit of a reprieve winning the previous round, right? They should not have been able to pull off a 5v2. That seems to have given them a bit of a second wind. Missed grenade will keep Feifei alive.
They know he's there.
They do know, but they can't seem to dislodge him.
Get out, though. They have this good reposition.
Yep, he's out.
Not bad at all. Actually, 9U in this position strong, too, because, again, AlQadsiah, they'd have to clear it, and assuming this, but they finally get themselves that opener, so Action's going to be able to get something done here. Take down XN. That's a nice little bit of a pickup.
Was that in the vent? Was he just trying to get in the vent?
I think so.
I think he must have been, right?
Yeah, it looks like from the angle.
So, again, an aggressive maneuver from KINGZERO, if that's the case. They're definitely not trying to shy away from these engagements. And another B stack. Some concern, perhaps, on the behalf of KINGZERO as that pause does come through the end of this round. You imagine it'll be an attack timeout from KINGZERO, which they might like to take back if YSH can do that. A nice double in lockers, and all of a sudden this round falls apart for AlQadsiah. Re-aggression from Bin. He catches Feifei. And now we're down into a 3-on-2. There is still problems all over the map. Silver, a crucial duel to win, but he might get caught. Bin is on the way forward. He's been spotted out by MG. A shot is missed, but the second connected. And Silver and MG now in a 2-on-1 against YF, and they might just struggle their way through another round here, AlQadsiah.
Yeah, a little bit of a deja vu, though, right? I mean, this is where YF was able to get himself that 1-on-3, so maybe he can have himself another big moment like this. But again, Silva critically low on the HP. MG's already lost about half his HP already. But they got themselves together. They got themselves the bomb this time. They're not fighting for that C4, which has kind of been a lot of a nuisance for them so far in this best of 3s. But not the case here. They're actually going to commit towards the safe side. But look, YF is there. He's got himself in the perfect position.
Yep.
He might be able to find this first opening duel. Oh, no, a shot missed. Oh, not like
Time's
this.
a factor. Time is definitely a factor in the grenade. It's not quite going to catch Silver, but it will go the other way. Oh, if he would have hit that first shot and had the grenade in hand, he'd won that round because you would not be able to plan that bomb.
That guy turned everything.
AlQadsiah are just getting their way through a lot of these rounds. Attack pause coming through.
Yeah, nice little bit of utility, but I'm liking, again, this, a little bit of a timeout we saw from AlQadsiah. They're looking a lot better. They're starting to play more as a team. Even the fact that the previous round we saw that MG, even him missing that first shot, in radio, he's able to kind of get a little bit of revenge back and then putting themselves in a 2-on-1 advantage against YF. Not bad, right? So there's good things that we're seeing from them. It's starting to look like they're on a relatively similar page right now, but let's not make it, it's still plenty of game left to go through, though.
Yep. Just for anyone wondering, again, confirmation that's a tactical pause. Tac pauses in CROSSFIRE typically a minute and a half. You get 1 minute and a half tac pause per map. Which is a little bit longer, I think, than most people would be used to coming from other titles.
Yeah, a lot of conversation, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of time. Definitely different than what we've seen, but it really does, create a lot of good conversation about, like, how much can change, like, from the tac timeouts, and given a minute and 30 is a lot you can talk about, and even just kind of, you know, have a little bit of a mental reset. Like even right now for KINGZERO, like this is a good opportunity where they can just kind of, you know, reevaluate their game plan, considering things are not quite working, but they're making these rounds close. Like it's again not the same situation on the first map where they were winning every single round flawlessly. Like now this is becoming competitive. This is kind of what we were thinking should have been on the first map. No doubt.
Yeah, I think that's probably the mentality as well coming through here for AlQadsiah. It's like, look, let's just keep on doing what we're doing. A lot of these rounds are close, but we are starting to pull away. Granted, it is on the blacklist side of sub-base, which is expected to be favored. So just to set those expectations again in a similar way to Port, you know, we'd be looking at, I think, maybe a 6-3, 5-4 lead for the BL side on this map. So AlQadsiah doing a pretty good job of upholding their end of the bargain. It'll be a little scary if KINGZERO can put, you know, a couple of rounds quickly together right here off of the back of that tack pause. Once again, that'll start to put some pressure back on AlQadsiah.
Yeah, a lot more respect for this round here, too. You can even see that KINGZERO, again, playing a very passive setup. They're not going to throw any deep nades. They're not going to try to play any mind games. They're playing a little bit more aggro in some retrospect in lockers.
Yeah,
nice little bit of a double stack.
That's a very forward hold. I like it. You know, the high-low setup is always going to be a tough one to break.
It should be almost guaranteed you get the instant trade.
At least
right?
one, yeah.
At least one. So that's the nice little thing about a setup like that.
Trouble is, it doesn't look like AlQadsiah are going to head in that direction, at least not right now. Action has found himself another opener as KINGZERO send a player forward. YSH just going hunting for a bit of information there into Machine Room, and that has been a pretty reoccurring trend. AlQadsiah here have been able to get a lot of opening picks and close out these 5-on-4s, which they were unable to do on Port.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be 9U, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's going to be the sole anchor on this here for the A site, if that's where they decide to go. But you can still see they're in Woodroom. They're kind of making their thoughts, kind of figuring out what they want to do. They're actually going to slip away through this. So now, like I said, he might not be ready for this. He's got himself that nade, but
I think they know.
He's got himself a good reposition here.
They know, or at least they have a suspicion that they've lost that control. You can see the retake on the stairs side, but problems there as well, as MG is just watching for it, and XN gets found out as well. So KINGZERO just getting themselves into all sorts of trouble in that round. Attack timeout has not worked out for them. KINGZERO needs something big to get them back into this map. They are really looking, I guess, kind of like what AlQadsiah did on map 1. They're just kind of all over the place, not really having much success at all. A couple of clutches going in the opposite direction, and seems like KINGZERO have just completely deflated.
Yeah, this is the AlQadsiah that we were kind of expecting to see, right? Like, you know, putting a lot more better decision making, better connections with the shots. This is exactly what we're starting to get. Like, and now everybody is contributing almost equally. Like, now we're seeing Action. He's starting to get himself playing a lot better than what we saw before. But it's kind of interesting because KINGZERO, again, they had themselves a decent start, and then it just kind of feels like you said, gotten a little bit flat on it. So the fact that we're seeing a 4-1 score is not what I was expecting on this. Like, I was even kind of, you know, in the mindset of this could be a 2-0, no doubt, but I'm starting to second guess this one a little bit here, Jordan.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. Look, again, we'll just have to wait and see until we get KINGZERO on their BL side, because that will be the real tell. But you do have to give yourself a little bit of a base, a stable base to work off of with this first half. So at this stage, KINGZERO kind of just have to hope for 3, I guess. You get the a 2-2 split for the last sort of 4 rounds of the half here. 6-3 scoreline. I think KINGZERO could be happy enough with that. But the fortunes have definitely shifted away from them. You know, they were even earlier on in the half, you know, nice stacks again on the right side of the map. That kind of thing here. You can see it's a little bit more of a default sort of spread. They're not reading the game in the same way maybe that they were earlier. The confidence is rattled a little bit. AlQadsiah finding a little bit of an easier time working through the map as well.
Yeah, and they really haven't played that aggro too, right? Like, I mean, like, this is like what you said, like, it feels like they're kind of just going right back to a basic approach on this. Like, they're playing such a hard defense right now. So this makes me wonder a lot what's going on in the comms here for KINGZERO. Like, Are they a little bit rattled right now? Or are they, kind of just all over the place? Like, is the comms even really that clear? Because look at how well that we're seeing AlQadsiah. They were able to get this real estate again for free. And now they're actually going to swamp right through this. And it's just easy, a little bit of a 1-2 combination. They get themselves this bomb down. Now we're talking about a retake.
I don't think it's going to happen. Not the way that KINGZERO are playing at the moment. It's looking pretty rough for them on this GR side. We'll talk in a minute about what they can do to change that, but see how this retake goes first. They need a little bit of magic, and I don't know that they're getting it. Bin down to below half HP. He'll be an easy one to finish off, and that's, again, another easy one for AlQadsiah. So I would like to see KINGZERO maybe change things up a little bit, try to take some of that map control early on in the round, right? They've been playing very passive on their sites, making good reads on the GR side from port into the early stages of sub-base, but that's not working anymore, right? And they are losing a lot of opening duels. I think try some aggression somewhere, send 2 or 3 players forward, see if you can find an early fight, trade down effectively, throw a bit of chaos into the round, rather than allowing it to play out default. Because, well, as we've seen, if it plays out default, AlQadsiah are winning those. But again, standard setup from KINGZERO. And they're just going to allow AlQadsiah to walk in and take wood control.
Yeah, and I'm kind of wondering why they're not actually trying to go for something a little bit more, a little bit more risky or a little bit more ballsy, just because, I mean, KINGZERO, like, right now you're down by 4. Like, at this point, you need to do something different. You can't just play the same setup because it's clearly not working. So for them, I would have liked to see them do something a little bit more adventurous, like fighting for wood control, or maybe even just trying to push through, radio. Just trying something at all just to, again, put AlQadsiah back in the position of them guessing. Because right now, it feels like we really just turned a whole new tide on this, because KINGZERO, they're just giving a ton of respect, and I don't even know why, considering they won the first map with a 10-2. They were able to get the first initialing round. Like, I just felt like they were in the best position in the world, and all of a sudden, they're kind of letting this one slip right beneath their fingers.
Well, patience a virtue in this instance for both teams. At the very least, as far as KINGZERO are concerned, they can say, we're not in a 4-on-5 right now, which has been the case for a lot of these rounds on the GR side. So that will help them as they try to hold on to what I assume will be the A-bomb side here. See where AlQadsiah end up going. They could still divert through to B, but it is going to be towards A that they're going to head. XN and Bin able to find a crossfire up there in control room. This is going better for KINGZERO. I mean, the difference that it makes to have that extra player on the defense when the execute is coming through has been shown. Now, they just have to close out that 2-on-5, which was a bit of a trouble earlier on in the half, and it could be again. MG down alone now is action. 1v3 with 12 seconds, I think. Probably impossible, but if he would have killed YSH there, it was doable.
Look at this free plant, though. That might give him a little bit more time to work with here.
Oh, he's just got to swing him together. There it is. 9U finishes it off. So a second round for KINGZERO. The half's not yet done, Laz. If KINGZERO can put together another 2 quick rounds right here, all of a sudden, the story changes completely.
It really does. Yeah, that's a really, really good point you bring up, because really, if they can be able to find themselves these last 2, making it a 5-4, I mean, that's going to be a really good scoreline considering how this game has been going. Like, it just feels like AlQadsiah has been the one that's been in the driver's seat. At least for KINGZERO, that would allow them to get themselves in a better position here for the offense going into the BL side. So we'll wait and see, getting closer and closer to the end point of this first half. But, if AlQadsiah could be able to get themselves even a split of a 1-on-1 or, a best case 2, like, that would be magnificent just for them to get themselves a lot more of a jump. But we'll wait and find out. KINGZERO, once again, kind of playing the 2 and B very passively, just leaving 9U by himself here anchoring. So right back to the same setup. But this time we're noticing that KINGZERO, they're putting a little bit more of attention towards Woodor. They realize that, AlQadsiah has been able to get themselves slipped through those lines. So it's good that they've figured something out, but they're going to have to do more than that, though.
Well, AlQadsiah typically were one of the teams that played a little bit of a slower style back when they were Vasco. If you can remember going back to CFS last year and Summer Champs as well, typically brought a little bit more of a methodical approach, let's say. Yep. And that is still reminiscent here at EWC. YF, though,
shot.
He is happy to wait patiently. He gets his prey. So VNC down early. And this is where a third round could start to come into the conversation for KINGZERO. And at that point, it's anybody's game. AlQadsiah going to move their way over towards A. 4-1 split from them. Going to leave someone to have a little bit of a fake over towards lockers, but looks like KINGZERO have got the forces over towards A that they need. MG, an important opening pick. That is huge from them. And now the rotate is going to start scrambling over from KINGZERO. They need to clear out Silver, which they've been able to do, but it's a 1-for-1, so a 3-on-3 for the retake, and you've still got action on the other side of the map, keeping YSH busy.
Yeah, this is important now, but again, for someone like, I think that's Action, he's going to have to get himself a little bit closer to his teammates. He doesn't want to play too far away, so now he's finally getting himself back into a little bit more of a fighting conversation here. Again, this position, if he can get himself dropped into radio, oh, this could be perfect. They might not expect this. YF was kind of, again, a little bit of a spidey sense. Oh, he's got a full read on it, but this is all about timing. This could be everything. The timer's already halfway through, well over that. So now, KINGZERO, they have to get moving. They can't wait any longer, and they think this is going to be it. And look at that. It's a free, easy kill. YSH, he's just going to get himself a little consolation prize, but that is it. And AlQadsiah, they're going to be able to get themselves a 6th round on the board.
Yeah, I'm not sure why KINGZERO takes so long there to try the retake. I think they just get themselves into a bit of a tangle, trying to wrap that extra player around to the stairs position. You kind of just had to go at a certain point, and well played by AlQadsiah, has to be said. Very patient in that post plant. So final round of the half will be a really big difference maker. A third round for KINGZERO, it feels like it's going to be doable. With only 2, that's a tough ask to come back from. So a lot resting on the shoulders of this round for KINGZERO especially.
Yeah, they desperately need this. Like, I mean, if we see a 7th round game here for AlQadsiah, that's just going to be tragic right now for KINGZERO fans. Like, this just, again, a map where I was thinking that this was a good position for them being on the GR side. I thought surely this was going to be good enough for them. Not looking like the case. It's a little bit of a turn of events that we weren't even expecting. I mean, technically, this KINGZERO team is better on their GR side by 54%, but we're seeing Bin finally getting himself a little bit of action here with the AK, gets that first duel, but again, we need a little bit more than that. Somebody else has to be able to find another kill to put themselves in that nice man advantage here.
I mean, remember, this is more or less exactly how the last round started. It was a sniper kill rather than a rifle kill, but it was on that same line. It was 5-on-4, and then AlQadsiah were able to still find themselves a way back into the round. This time they're going to take a different approach. They're going to work their way into lockers. It's been smoked off, so YF can't see anything.
Just over a minute remaining, so MG getting ready for the lineup here. Can actually back out of this? Yeah, he is. Oh, this is good. AlQadsiah, they're going to actually mix up the playbook a little bit. Now they're going to regroup together. XN, ooh, actually, it was actually Bin that's able to get. I was going to say, man, XN, he looked locked in right there.
Yeah, XN also spotting Silver out in the vent, so no funny business this time around. And it's just on 9U to ensure that he does not go down for free this time. He died to MG in that position last round, and that lost the round for KINGZERO. This time, flashes around the corner. Again, not going to put MG off of his line, and now it's XN's job to try to just anchor this site, but the kills are coming through from AlQadsiah. This is illegal.
What?
KINGZERO, you cannot be losing a round like this. They've got those 2 players back up into control room action, trying to cross in onto the site, but the frags are coming through for AlQadsiah, and YSH falls as well. Another great recovery from the Brazilian squad, and KINGZERO, I mean, gone are the days of map 1 where it felt like they were going to sweep this series. We feel like we're going the distance now.
Yeah, it really feels like it, but again, like, even just highlighting a player like, Action or, AT or AKT, right? I mean, like, that's somebody that's putting up some big numbers right now, double digits, put himself at what was he, essentially 14-4.
Yeah.
So he was somebody that was not able to find anything, and now he's starting to put up multi-kill after multi-kill. Now we get to see KINGZERO finally getting themselves a little bit more activation. Ooh, yeah. Look at how easily they do this. All 5 players still alive. They take everybody in their path, and they finally get that opening round back in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to wonder where was that in the second half, or in the first half, right? Like, the talent is clearly there. The ability is on our screens, but I don't know. It just didn't seem to work on the GR side. Got into a bit of a fuddle. That's kind of what I'm saying, though. Like, the fortunes can change quite dramatically, but you're basically asking for a near flawless second half here from KingZero when you've lost the first half 7-2. If you go down 6-3 or 5-4, like you've got a lot of room to work, but you're going to need to see that round almost every round from KingZero here, and that is a tough ask. Triple sniper setup from AlQadsiah, by the way, so they are really playing for those picks. KingZero going to try to work against it by bringing a faster playstyle. They do flash Silver off the line. He can't see anything, but VNC for the triple was completely disregarded by KingZero. And, well, first round looked fantastic. Second, not so much.
Yeah, and again, we were giving a lot of criticism for, you know, a player like VNC. I was like, look, he was doing nothing on the first map, and look at that. Even just right there, he puts himself in a quad kill. And now he's right back on the board, and they get themselves 8 getting onto sub-base right now. And this just might be the tale of both these teams maybe taking their opponent's map pick away and then taking it all the way to Ankara, which I didn't even have that on my bingo card. Not even close to that in this match.
No, not after map 1. I could see a third map between these two teams, like before the series,
absolutely.
if that makes sense. But after map 1, certainly didn't expect this.
Just the way it's been going, I didn't think it was going to be that kind of a case, right? I thought maybe they'll win their respective map picks and then we'll go to the distance, but boy, oh boy. They have made things very interesting to start this day off, let's not forget. So this is day 1 already, so, and I mean, the fact that we're going to get matched, game 1, day 1, everything, so might even get ourselves a 3-mapper to get things going. I don't even hate it. That's great.
Well, that would be very much in line with what we've seen over the last 18 months of CROSSFIRE. And I've talked about it quite a lot when we've been, doing analyst desk segments and stuff like that. That there's a certain level of parity now that comes through with CROSSFIRE internationally that we never really used to see. I think in the, let's say, pre-COVID era of CROSSFIRE, it was very much dominated by the top teams, and you'd constantly have really, really quick matches, easy wins, these kinds of things. But it feels like even the weaker teams, quote-unquote weaker teams, have kind of like caught up. And there is a sense that we really do get a lot of competitive series now. Maybe we're getting another one here. I mean, this is Seed 5 versus a Seed 1. And it's, you could still go either way.
Ooh, this is a good reposition. Might not expect him to be here. They are throwing about a bunch of utility to clear him out, but if he wants to recommit to it, that actually could be detrimental here for KingZero. But actually, they're just going to fall back. They're going to retreat this plan, reconvene, gather new thoughts. They're just deciding, look, this isn't the right idea. They're now going to group up back into Wood Room. They might even try to test here for VNC once again. I don't know why you want to, because considering he was the one that put up the quad kill, but that's going to be the plan. That's what they want to go for. They're going to just try to send this in with 35 seconds remaining. He's not going to play the same spot this time. He's going to play behind Missile. He's going to try to play that position where at least he can find a kill, maybe burn some time, allow his teammates to get to rotate through, but they are just trying to swarm him, and they do. But now Silva, thankfully, is here for reinforcement. It's been only the 1 kill, but Fei! That's not bad at all. He's able to find this double, and now the HP is getting low.
Yeah, that was pretty bad from 9U. Bit of a whiff. And that has given AlQadsiah the chance back in this round. Fei needed to die. He needed to go down faster.
Oh, they're getting loud. They're
unable to find that entry that they need there. And this is, it's definitely looking like map 3 on the cards right now. AlQadsiah have responded quite nicely for their second map.
Well, it just goes right back to your original point, Jordan. I mean, you said, look, like this is a team, a lot of tenacity. They're able to get themselves, like through the thick and thin, and that's exactly what we're seeing, right? Like we already had them a bit of a write-off. We were like, okay, maybe an off day, maybe not the day for them. They'll have to bounce back a little bit later in the group stage. No, like they're still here. They want to compete, and the fact that they, are putting up a 9-3 scoreline is definitely not something we were expecting. But Action once again finds this double kill. And look at how quickly they just sweep the floor. And now it's down to a 1-on-3.
Yeah, it's just like a non-contest. YF stuck again in a 1v3. He's been spotted out, and that is that. AlQadsiah, they respond, and they take map 2. We are going to be going all the way to Ankara, which felt like it was an impossible task after map 1. But that is how quickly fortunes can change in a game like CROSSFIRE. And, well, now the shoe's on the other foot. KingZero are going to be the team that's going to have a lot of thinking to do in the break that is upcoming.
That's really true, because again, just the thing that was really impressive is just that we see like players like VNC, Action, those guys you know, the Riflers being aggressive as they are, they finally got their footing. They finally got themselves right back into fighting form, and that's what I love. Like, we thought this was, you know, their backs were on the boards. We thought this was it. Not even the case at all. They brought up a good fight. They were able to get a couple uppercuts here and there, and they put themselves back into the conversation of now a third and final map here for the first opening of the group stage here for Group A. But my oh my, KINGZERO, I don't even know what the conversation's going to be, because that was just a poor performance from them.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the flashes and the moments, though, where that could have been something. So, I don't know. I think the first half, it kind of got a little bit away from them, but you can still see that the ability is there for KINGZERO. So hopefully they'll be able to find that as we take a short break, obviously heading into map 3. We'll find out if KINGZERO or AlQadsiah will win their opening game at the Esports World Cup. Welcome back into Esports World Cup Crossfire as we are underway with our first match of the day, and it has gone the distance. Map 3. Weren't really expecting that after the first map. It was looking pretty comfortable for KINGZERO, but AlQadsiah have arrived. It took a little bit to wake up. They seemed a bit sleepy in map 1, but map 2 definitely dominated. And yeah, certainly raises a bit of an eyebrow for where map 3 is going to go. Ankara, it's traditionally associated with being very strong for Chinese teams. So maybe we'll see a little bit of a resurgence here from the KINGZERO lads. What's your take, Laz? Where are you going for this one?
Yeah, you know, I was trying to think about that a little bit on the break, and you know, it's hard because like the analytical brain of me wants to go, you know, there's like a bit of a lean here for KINGZERO, like you said, a map that is theoretically the better portion here for the Chinese teams, but I'm still really impressed with how we saw AlQadsiah playing. Like, I really think the fact that we saw an entirely different team on that second map, it makes me a little bit more convinced. I think I'm on that copium a little bit, so I'm going to say these guys might be able to edge it out.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Where are you going?
I'm definitely leaning AlQadsiah.
Okay, so we're both on the same page.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
I think, you know, you do have to just back the favorite in these kinds of instances. Yeah. A lot of the time when I'm looking for an underdog victory, an upset, something like that, I often feel that it needs to be clean, right? You need to win that first map and then you need to win the second map. Agreed. Because as soon as you open that door back up, you know, the favorite kind of goes, all right, we are better. And I wonder if AlQadsiah have recognized that and they're going to go into map 3 here and just say, yeah, we are definitely better. MG getting a lot of work done as well with the sniper. You know, even in those disadvantageous moments when you're down 5-on-4, it feels like MG can be relied upon to get that pick that's required to get you back in the round. Well, at least we saw that on sub base. And I think he'll be a big factor here on Ankara as well going forward. So, look, you know, jury's still out. Obviously, KINGZERO is a team that have shown the ability to beat AlQadsiah, but I think we do have to just back AlQadsiah at this point.
Yeah, and the one thing that, you know, for me, like, again, I feel like the stats and everything is just not going to be the factor in this matchup. Like, I was really, like I said, trying to be the analyst in this situation, but I'm kind of throwing that away. But the one thing I do want to bring up is that, like, it is a very strong map in the Chinese region, but the one thing that does make me a little bit nervous here for KINGZERO is the fact that they do have, like, a 13-13 record on it, which it's not really a strong winning map for them. It's, you know, not great, but it's not bad. So I just wonder if that's going to be a problem, whereas, you know, a team like AlQadsiah, that is definitely more of a favorable one, like one of their higher portions of the map win percentages. So that's what I'm wondering, if their aggressive style might be a factor on a map like this on the DL side.
Well, it's time to find out as we head into map number 3. Ankara here, of course. It's a classic, probably the classic of Crossfire. I think if you had to think about one map that you associate with the game, at least for me, it would probably be this one. Let's see who's going to walk away with the victory. KINGZERO starting off here on the GR side. AlQadsiah on blacklist. Double sniper coming out for AlQadsiah already. That's something that you can expect to see probably maintained throughout the course of this map. YSH though, it's a freebie onto Action, who's kind of just gone wandering through a smoke into a middle. I don't know if that's a great sign from AlQadsiah. If that's what you're going to be bringing out in your first blacklist round on this map, the strat book might be pretty dry.
Yeah, that's not a great sign, because that's, you know, there's an argument that, like, yeah, maybe he was trying to get a timing. He was hoping he might be able to get a cheeky kill, maybe be able to fall back, and then AlQadsiah put themselves in the position to have that 5-on-4 instantly. But yeah, it was a little bit too quick for me, and I think a little bit lackluster. Like, they didn't really support him or throw like a pot flash for him at all. Like, it really just felt like a bit of a dry swing. So now this is more of an awkward setup, because you have VNC and Feifei. They're going to just kind of commit through the same main. They're just going to try to send it, and somehow VNC actually does win that opening duel. So now there's a player right behind Green Box, but again, is he going to be able to stop things out? Is he going to get cleared to next? Oh man, he's got the M14, and that's the problem with it. You get that gun up close and personal, and look at what you can do.
That's illegal. I mean, Xen should not be getting away with the double there. I guess they just didn't know that he was there at all. I felt like they had a read on it, but that round a little bit too easy in the end for KINGZERO. Typically, if you're stuck behind that box and you're the solo hold on the side, like, you're doomed. Yeah. There's nothing you can do. You're going to get naded, someone's going to creep up on the line from distance, maybe you're going to get flashed out. It's literally unplayable. Yeah. Unless you catch them off guard, which is exactly what's happened here for XN. Typically, that position would be used as like a trade fragger or like a second point of contact, which it wasn't really in that instance. He was kind of just trying to hide, but it's worked out.
I think the fact that he actually recommitted out of that box and went for the swing was really important.
Yeah.
Like you said, typically when you see a player there, they just kind of tuck tail, they just try to go for that one-on-one trade. That time he's like, you know what, no, I'm just going to swing, I'm going to see what I can do with the M14, and he was able to find himself a double kill. And that's where I've really noticed, like, KingZero, they've really put a lot of emphasis here for that gun. Like, for us in the West League, we see the HK all the time, right? Not the factor here for the Chinese team. So that's been the one thing that's been very interesting in terms of that gun meta that I kind of just talked about very briefly in the second map. But not a bad round here for KingZero to get themselves on that first round on the board. But now it's a question of AlQadsiah, can they be able to go right back into that? Because that's what we've seen before, right? It's the one team gets the first, and the bounce back comes through, and then it's like, hey, where do we go from here?
Well, the bounce back, not quite happening just yet. KingZero finding the opening pick in this one. AlQadsiah just trying to show a bit of presence outside of A at the moment. Gives some time for Silver to work on the other side of the map. He finds a pick. That's the difficulty of playing GR side on this map, is that there is a lot of space to cover. There's a lot of 1v1 duels that can be taken, particularly on the B and middle side of the map. And that's what Silver has been able to pick up. And so we're back to 4-on-4. Action. Waiting for the re-aggression from KingZero. He won't actually get the kill onto 9U, but Zen goes down as well. So interesting round playing out here. KingZero, they find the opening pick, but they're kind of just letting it slip away. YF gets a leg shot. He will be able to finish off Silver, but he needs more than that, and he can't quite get it. Shot in from Action, and it's on to 9U, which is look, it's a not impossible clutch. A 3v1 here, two players very, very low. He could make this happen still.
It's very doable. And he's got a PC utility that he could use if he wants to. But the fact that both these players are low, that's a really important factor, because again, it just might take one, if not maybe two shots to take them out. But they know where he is now. Flash a little bit deep, but either way, they're going to get it done. MG's going to put the sniper to work, and yeah, not bad at all. And this is exactly what I said. One team gets the round, and then the other team just bounces back, and now I'm just kind of going, where are we going with this? Like, how is this game even going to happen on Ankara?
Yeah, a bit of back and forth. Early days, though. Early days.
Early days.
Deep smokes this time from KingZero. They want to just keep AlQadsiah from taking any space. They're going to go aggressive out of A main.
Ooh, this is good.
Look at the three smokes that KingZero have thrown. They want to take space in this round.
I like it, though, because, again, that was the biggest criticism we were saying. For Subbase, we were saying that, for them on the GR side, they were playing so passive. They were just playing the standard setups. They weren't really doing anything. They weren't experimenting. They weren't really utilizing a playbook or defensive playbook, if you will. Now we're starting to see it. The fact that they put this much pressure on AlQadsiah, they essentially have to park the brakes, and now they have to kind of reconfigure a game plan. Like, they are the ones that are re-fighting for map control, which is not a good position for them to be in.
No, but a lot of time left in this round, so got some time to work. And you've got MG and Silver still holding the double sniper setup, so picks are on offer. But perhaps more so for KingZero. There we go. That's exactly what they're looking for, actually. Just would have ideally not wanted to lose a player. So it's still kind of a bit of a stalemate after that one-for-one trade. Doesn't really do much to shift the bar. This, though, 9U kind of getting caught out. Needs a bit of help, and he's not going to get it in time. Bin looking for the double. Gets it with the pre-fire. Feifei just walking into that headshot. And KingZero stabilizing themselves somewhat in this round. Seems like they've got a pretty good idea of where MG is as well. So they are going to give him the plant.
Yeah, this post plant's really, really important, though, again, because right now with him being, a 1-on-3, he has to get aggressive. This is where he has to go for that fight. He has to be able to bully somebody. But right now, KingZero, they're playing this as a three-man unit. This is perfect because, again, with the rifles, in theory, this should be the instant trade. But we've seen this position before where a sniper is able to get himself a 1-on-3. Can MG do it? Oh, that's not going to help. That is definitely not going to help. 2 strikes, and in this case, you're definitely going to be out.
Yeah. Well, defuse comes through, 2-1 for KingZero. I feel like we're just sort of going through the motions at the moment. The early stages of this map, both teams kind of feeling each other out a little bit. Where I don't know if we're not necessarily even really in the eye of the storm, because that would That would be under the understanding that we've already had part of the storm. I don't think we're quite at that point just yet. I feel like it's like the calm before the storm. Let's just go with that one.
I like it. I do like that.
Feels pretty relaxed, but maybe the wind's picking up a little bit. You can smell it. And here it starts to play out a little bit earlier in the round. A bit of a contest over middle, a 1-for-1 with YF and MG going down. I don't think you'll hate that if you're KINGZERO, though. I would definitely be quite keen to get rid of MG early in the round. They've been able to do that. Good start.
Yeah, because MG's been playing he always plays the role where he's just sitting back. He always kind of finds that, kind of annoying little bit of a pick where he's been able to just, sit back in the outskirts of mid and just getting a duel. So the fact that he's gone early, that's a nice little bit of an advantage here for KINGZERO in some degree. But the snipers have been removed here from both these teams. They're going to go for a vent swing. This is interesting. 9U in a really good position. Oh my, he's still not able to find this. XN once again, he's in this position. He's going to play behind the green box, trying to buy as much time as possible. But now, does he swing or does he go? No, he's just going to sit back. He's done and removed. And now, AlQadsiah, they put themselves in a good position here to get themselves right back to a 2-2, Jordan. And even, ISH, he's just going aggressive. He was trying to do a little bit of a heroic play by himself, and it blunders.
Yeah, that's probably how it should have gone the first time as well for XN. He was talking about how normally when you play behind that box, you kind of just get deleted. And that's what happened. That's what happened this time around. So 2-2. Even scoreline. I guess now's probably a good time again to set the expectations for the half. I've always felt that Ankara is a bit of a 50-50 map. Maybe you lean a little bit towards the BL side, but I think you can get it done on both.
I agree.
I'd be looking towards a 5-4. It typically is, of all the maps in the pool, the one that you most often see like 1-1-1-1-1-1 tit for tat kind of rounds.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I couldn't agree with you more. This is a map where I feel like it's pretty even. It really is, like, as cliche as it sounds, it's about the teams that you're watching and their style, right? So like, we see teams that are very aggressive on the GR side. Yeah, there's a lot of argument that, there can be some GR, a little bit of favoritism, but I feel like in the most case, yeah, I would probably say the same thing, like a bit more of a lean on the BL. This is where now I like that AlQadsiah, they're going to play this all together. This is more like it. I wasn't loving the little bit of lurking kills and really just trying to see what they can find. This time they're kind of making the right decision. They're going to all play together. They're going to try to find man commit to this.
Well, 9U, again, in a good position. This time, he's at least good for one, but XN gets taken down before he can strike. That will still give AlQadsiah a good opportunity to sink their teeth into this round. It's 3-on-3. They have cut KINGZERO out of this site. And they're getting that plant down as well, AlQadsiah. So you'll take this 3-on-3 post plant. I think you'd be happy with that.
Oh, and they're all going to commit all the way around here too. So they're going to try to go through A main. So this is going to put a little bit more pressure here for MG. He's the one that's going to have to do something big. Goes for a swing, but oh my gosh, I can't believe he's still alive. He's got 19 HP to spare. But now Action, he's going to have to put a little bit more of a distraction. That's not bad. Together, they're going to just be able to find themselves at 3 kills. Action, again, look at how much he's just been able to rise like a phoenix. Like, the guy was a ghost, nothing. He was in the Ashes first map. Look at what he's been able to bring for the second and this third.
Yeah, and AlQadsiah are really firing up now as well. That's a trademark, I would say, of the Brazilian rosters typically is the screaming and shouting, and they were very quiet in the first map. Not actually that loud in the second map, but now that push is coming to shove, they're starting to make some noise, which is a bad sign for KINGZERO. There's an opener as well for Silver. Could this map start to run away from KINGZERO? Well, certainly could be possible if this ends up at a 4-2 scoreline, which is where we're headed.
Well, again, even the fact the opening duel, I'm loving that we're starting to see that plan out a little bit nicely here for AlQadsiah. The fact they get this duel, that's a good start. And that, I think what we've seen the difference from the first map to now all the way to here is that it actually is putting up a little bit more of a win percentage for them. That is putting them in a better position. And right now you can even see that these guys are mixing the playbook. That was something I said in the second. We're now getting it here again. They're mixing things up. They're keeping it very much a guessing game. And this is where KINGZERO, being down the man, they have to do some investigating. They have to kind of explore some new options. And they're kind of going for a 3-man stack at this A site. So they're really gambling it here, Jordan.
It's an incorrect gamble.
Yeah.
At least so far.
That's why they call it a gamble.
See what YF does, though. If he's able to get that kill, yeah, all of a sudden, that starts to piece the puzzle together a little bit. KINGZERO will be thinking, okay, someone was headed towards B. Now he has to be a little aware of a push into Hotel himself. It's been smoked off. I mean, the game is up. They know KINGZERO where this bomb plant is going to be headed. So they are going to pre-rotate their way over towards B. But they're not going to be able to do too much about it. You actually need players in the site for that to really make a difference, and they weren't quite that quick. So you're going to have to now wait for those smokes to go down. They do lose YF on the backside, which will be obviously less than ideal. Brings it back to a 3-on-4. And a 2-1 split as far as the retake is concerned. They're out in front of the smoke. Feifei's got to keep a bit of an eye on that one. VNC falls, so too does Feifei, and now it falls apart for AlQadsiah. This is not how it should have gone at all. Bomb's not planning for action. I think KINGZERO just kind of caught them on a timing there.
Yeah, it really was, because you could see there was a deep smoke getting thrown in long A. I was thinking, okay, look, if they would have thrown that 1 or 2 seconds earlier, that would have really put, you know, KINGZERO in the fact that they would have had to go through smoke, double players out of that A main. That would have been a problem. But the fact that they just beat the timing of it, like you said, I think they were called a little bit with their pants down. They had no idea. They weren't expecting that at all. So good, a little bit of work here from KINGZERO. Like the fact that they could use the timing and put that right back into a tie game, it's not bad at all. You got to take advantage of like the littlest of margins. And even, man, that peak and that angle, not bad at all from YF. A little bit of a pixel angle. He's able to find that engagement, takes down MG quickly, but action. He's able to retaliate back. He's able to find that engagement. So now things are getting a little bit more uncomfortable here for KINGZERO. You can already see Actions put himself in the GR spawn. Everybody's grouped up here. But look at XN. He's going here for the backstab, and he's able to get that bomb dropped as well. That has been a problem time and time again here for AlQadsiah, and it's going to happen right here and right now for round number 7.
Yeah. I mean, it's just such a back and forth game, isn't it? It was looking for a moment like we would be at a 4-on-2 lead for AlQadsiah, and now all of a sudden KINGZERO is going to be the team that's going to pull in front again. Feifei will be doing the classic, the Feifei pause. If we've talked about it so far here at EWC, but certainly something that, you know, it's actually, I would say, fairly unique in CROSSFIRE. We don't really see a lot of teams using this, but Feifei definitely quite well known for just, especially if he's the last player alive, just doing this.
I don't mind it.
Taking a tack timeout, but you're basically taking a free tack timeout, which is, I think it's quite intelligent, because you only get 1 tack timeout a map. You know, that's critical, man. So, you know, he's had a bit of a chat, figured out what he wants to get across to the team, and now it's been spotted out as well. So KINGZERO actually on the hunt a little bit. Yeah, Feifei pause.
Yeah, I like it, because again, it just allows them to clean things up, like you said. So even if it's for, you know, 10, 15, maybe even 20 seconds, it doesn't matter. It still adds just a little bit more, just clearing up the communication. Yeah. And then they don't have to burn that timeout, because we're still in the first half, right? There's no reason to have to go for it. This is a bit of a gimme. And again, you're talking about a 1-on-4 where, you know, he didn't even have the bomb in his control. Like, nothing was in a good position for him. So, like, look, why wouldn't you just have that conversation with your team?
Yep.
I'm all for it. Smart play. Yeah, and he's done a really good job calling a very good second map, and also into this third, putting the scoreline this close. Shout out to the IGLs here.
Well, forward hold from KINGZERO has not worked out. They've gone aggressive on both sides of the map, and they've lost players all over the place. That is
Silva,
a horror of a round, really. What has happened there? They do lose the C4 here, AlQadsiah, but 9U surely can't pull off a 1v5. It was getting interesting. I was starting to think, okay.
Yeah, and Silva was low too. Like, I think he only had like 1, maybe 2 HP. So if MG would have gone down, like that could have been like the 1v5 ace clutch. You know, I don't even know, man. I would have just been putting my head on the desk and just being like, you know what, Jordan, you can just take the full round. I'm gonna have to digest that. But look, didn't happen. We're right back into this last round of the first half right now. And it's a big question here, who's going to be able to get that, you know, little bit of a boost, who's going to be able to get the 5th round in their favor. But I think at this point, like, I don't even know if I'm overly convinced, like, it's going to make a huge deal on a map like this, just considering on how these teams are playing right now.
Triple sniper setup for AlQadsiah.
Yeah, they've done that before. They're doing it again.
I mean, this is the map to do it, really.
A lot of long-range fights you can have. Yeah, it definitely is not ridiculous, and people are kind of wondering. It's reasonable. It's a little bit more of a move. It's bold, but why not?
Well, one of the other things is that you can trade that weapon out as well. You know, if you don't get the opening pick, if you don't fire a shot, you can go back into the BL spawn and get yourself a rifle. So you typically will see it at the start of a round. Maybe you have a bit of a look. If you don't see anything, you're going to have at least one of those players go back for a rifle, potentially two. In this case, it's just one. A little bit more standard coming through from AlQadsiah now as they just try and make a contact play in toward middle, and that has largely gone unnoticed, though. XN, perfect timing, catches Feifei. Didn't get VNC, who was the first player across, but gets the information that mid is gone. He gets a kill for it as well, so Zero not in a bad spot for this round. With the map split in half, it is going to be making it difficult for those rotators to come across and assist the bomb site that does actually get hit.
Yeah, a little bit of a good strangling kill here from YF, and yeah, look at him now. He's just finding himself some strong footing. He's able to find that double kill, now leaving it to MG on a 1-on-4. Bomb dropped again, and this is, again, the biggest thing that I've given so much criticism on is the fact that they're always refighting for that bomb control. That has always been the biggest problem here for AlQadsiah on their BL side, which is really hard to watch. Like, whenever you're in that position, you're going to have a bad time.
Yep. You can hear the Jiayos and the Pialiangs coming through from the Chinese squad. They're very pleased with that round, happy with that half.
They should be. That was very, very good.
And I would say I'm pretty happy with that as well. Like a 5-4 lead coming into the second half. You're moving on to BL side. Feels like a good spot to be in. See if KINGZERO can uphold their end of the bargain here on the BL side and kind of like maintain that story that we've been telling about Ankara and Chinese teams.
Yeah, it is going to be a good feeling for them too, because that's where we were kind of saying a lot here for the BL side, you know, the CFPL league where, you know, it's a very, very well played map and a very well known amount of work that they put on it. So this is where AlQadsiah, they're going to have to showcase a little bit more of how good can their defense be. And Silva's actually going to equip the TRG as well. So they are going to double sniper this. I actually feel like Silva's been playing a lot better than MG has so far in this series. So for him to be sniping, I like it. MG typically is the strong sniper point, but that's not been the case here for game number 1. Oh, and KINGZERO, they actually might just go for the full A-pop here.
I mean, it's a standard, really, isn't it?
Really is.
The flashes over the top. Try and hit the side. They do take the space under the stairs quite nicely, though. VNC holds on for one. The trade does come through. Crucial to be getting these trades quickly, though, because the rotate will be making a big difference for KINGZERO. And that timer starting to tick on the behalf of KINGZERO. They do find themselves the entries that they need. But here's that rotation that I was talking about. MG just not quite prepared for YF, who's on a bit of an off angle here, frankly. Brings it back into the 3-on-1. Silva spotted out, and that'll be that. KINGZERO, I was a bit concerned, I got to be real, with the entry there. It took them a long time to find the actual openings that they needed. And if it takes you that long, then that's when that rotation, that wrap comes in. You've got a player behind you or an extra player to come in from the GR spawn, throw a flash over the top, something like that. And that then means, well, a defended bomb site. But not the case this time around. KINGZERO up 6-4. The lead grows.
Yeah, it's definitely growing, and right now the triple TRG setup once again. That's what, you know, AlQadsiah is going to go for, and MG does trying to get a little bit more aggressive. He's trying to put a little bit of the hero play, but it's only a one and done. So now action. He's trying to see if he can get himself a little bit of a trade back, but he's kind of just hesitating on the swing. He's trying to play this a little bit more tactical, and he's got the HK, so again, a little bit of a tapperino, but he can't seem to find more than that one kill. So again, these trades back and forth, right down to an even Stevens here with the 3-3.
This round's going to slow down, though. KINGZERO not going to push their way or attempt to push their way into the A-bomb site. They're going to go for a wrap back around. Just trying to toy with the GR side. And it seems to have worked. VNC wrapping off of the B site over towards A to reinforce Feifei. And you got Silva, who's more or less splitting his attention between mid and B. So you'd imagine Zero should get in here cleanly, and they very nearly get Silva on their way through as well. That should have been a massive bonus, but they've got their forces on the site now. They'll be able to get a plant down, smokes up. So 3-on-3 on the retake. That has worked out nicely for KingZero so far.
Yeah, that's a good bomb position as well. That's really, really well because, again, like there's a bit of an opening there. Makes it really tough here for the GR side to go for the defuse. Some good utility getting thrown. They're actually going to try to go through the smoke, but, oh, it's a little too late. There's a player like Feifei. He's been able to cross into the back box, but that's just not going to be enough. And now Silva has to find something magical, but again, it's only a 1 kill. Now KingZero, they're starting to cook.
Yeah, well, we could be getting our first upset in the very first game of Esports World Cup. CROSSFIRE is a funny game, though. I mean, you do tend to see these kinds of things happen. I mean, especially more so since 2024. I think we went into 2024 expecting the dominance of China to kind of continue, and then that was where All Gamers and Baisha both had a really, really disappointing year. Now we come into this year with some expectations preconceived after last year, and they may be getting thrown out the window pretty early on in the piece. We'll see. 7-4. It's not over and done with just yet, but KingZero definitely in a good spot. Re-smoking is Silva. All right, AlQadsiah not going to be able to keep KingZero at bay for long.
Yeah, not for long, but KingZero putting themselves in a really good, again, manipulating the map and just kind of like toying with different ideas. They were kind of, again, going through B door. They were trying to just, make it seem like they're going to go there. But now you can see all these players once again going right back for the A hit. This is going to leave VNC and also Feifei. They're going to be the 2 singular players that are going to have to play this buddy system as best as they can. VNC's just tucked away. Feifei's above, and VNC can't seem to find the kill. So now Feifei, he's got himself a tough task. He's got the M14, but he's got his teammates close on by. They got him to rotate here quickly, and now action. Oh man, Feifei's able to find that double, and him in action together, they're able to get everything done. Even a little consolation prize for MG, not bad at all. So good read here from the Brazilians that they get themselves still in this game.
Yeah, it's kind of the worst. It's the worst of both worlds, though. You've got the round win that you want, but then you've already called the TAC timeout. I always kind of wonder, why do they call the TAC timeout so early in the round, right? You could call it with 10 seconds left on the round and still have it be valid. But you get that TAC timeout through, and then you win the round. You're like, well, do we really need the TAC timeout now? Or can we just roll with a bit of this momentum? Well, unfortunately, now the momentum doesn't necessarily matter anymore. Still gives you the time to chat. There's obviously some benefit to be had, but
there is, and I mean, that's the other thing for people that aren't aware with like CROSSFIRE. Like, this is very much a momentum-based game. Like, it really does kind of get rocked all the time. But I do think that it plays a significant part of a game like this where, all it takes is, a little bit of a timeout. You can get, yourself a couple rounds in favor and then full steam ahead, or maybe not, right? Maybe a big clutch might just turn things all, on its head essentially, and then we're kind of going right back to square one where we don't even know what's going to happen here. So there's a lot of back and forth many times, but like you said, I think the fact they won the round, they got themselves here for the TAC timeout. I don't hate it, but yeah, I don't love it either. But at least now they can kind of clean things up a little bit here, considering they did a pretty good job here holding things down on that GR side.
Yep. Do you like thinking music, lads? You reckon this is thinking music? Would this help jog your memory?
I feel like it make it
doing
worse
some
for
study.
Me. Like if I was like talking to my team and I could hear this music,
Lo-fi beats.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know if I like that. I'd just be like, this is too much pressure for me.
Puts the pressure on.
There's already enough pressure as it is. Adding a little bit more here.
Well, that's the big trophy that all the teams are gunning for at the Esports World Cup here for CROSSFIRE. If I'm right in saying, I believe it is the largest prize pool ever.
I think so.
In the history of CROSSFIRE. So there's that.
Pretty amazing.
But there's also the prestige of being the first Esports World Cup champion for CROSSFIRE. This is the first iteration of CROSSFIRE at the Esports World Cup. And that'll be something as well for the teams to lick their lips at. The prospect of, and AlQadsiah still trying to fight for their chances in this best of 3. They are down. They're not out.
Definitely not out of this yet. Couple warning shots here getting thrown from YF, and now they're going to try to go through this double door once again. But right now, AlQadsiah, they got themselves a 3-player stack towards B. So they're just going to keep the VNC and Feifei together here as a combination in A. They're going to just put a lot more of that reliance here that there could be a B hit. And it's not a bad read, considering how we're seeing this round go. Like, the bomb still dropped in the back skirts, so it's not like, you know, KINGZERO have made a decision, but you can see they're kind of waiting for this pop moment here through the door. They're going to try to fight for this hotel control if they can, which is going to be really important because now that they got this control, like, that's just going to allow them to have many options of what they want to do here for an execute.
Speaking of, here come the smokes. Towards that B site. And that has not gone very well at all to start things off for KINGZERO. Smokes missing and opening picks going the way of AlQadsiah. That's going to be a cause for concern, definitely, for the coach of KINGZERO. That's not a mishap that you want to be seeing at all.
Oh, YF got caught right in the arm. Yeah, that missed utility, that's a problem. That should never have happened. And now they're going to try to re-evaluating a new game plan. That's what they're going to do. They're just going to go right through mid now. And actually, they're winning gunfights. Hang on a second, but action, beautiful work, and it gets the bomb down, but now all of a sudden, MG, he's able to find that kill through the smoke too, so now just leaving it down to one player, and no, it's going to be Silva to put the nail to the coffin in one round of a differential.
If they would have just slowed it down a little bit there, KINGZERO, and they got that smoke up that was there at the end of the round, they could have crossed main, they could have gone over towards the A site, but instead just tries a little bit early to cross into GR spawn and gets picked off. Silva, nice round there, a couple of kills with the TRG, which is, I guess, the spiritual successor to the Orb nowadays. Finn, wow, nice double. And AlQadsiah, for all the hard work that they have done, they have essentially just thrown it away.
I mean, again, a really bold move. It was something they were trying to do, like catching them off guard a little bit. I don't mind it. Like I said, it's good when you see the GR side trying to get a little bit more adventurous. They try to, you know, think of something new what they can do and maybe get the timing, but it felt like that was a bit quick for me. Like, that was really too early in the round. It was a little bit more, you know, that KINGZERO should be posting up and they should be kind of waiting for something that quickly. But unfortunately, the execution does not look nicely here for AlQadsiah, but for KINGZERO fans, that's going to feel really good to be on a 5-on-3 that quickly on.
Just got to make sure that they convert on this round. You know, this is your perfect opportunity to get yourself in a winning position. Don't throw this one away because AlQadsiah have got a bit of momentum in their favor now after those last couple of rounds. And if they would win this, then I think they might go on to win the map. But KINGZERO just kind of keeping their noses in front at the moment. Just want to make sure that that nose does not get cut off. There's a good read, a good call to go towards B so far. Just the one defender. And it's more of a half defender, really, because the attention, again, is split between mid and the B site for MG. He may get one on the cross if he doesn't get smoked off, but he's not going to be able to defend the site on his own. He's worked out of GR spawn. There we go. He does get his one. KINGZERO happy enough with the proceedings. They'll get that plant down. They take the site. They've got the 4-on-3 post plant. They've got their smokes up. This should be their round. Ooh. MG, though, taking matters into his own hands, has found himself two, and all of a sudden, AlQadsiah starts to sense the blood in the water.
Yeah, that's really important from MG. The fact that he's able to get that kill on Hotel, like, I mean, that timing was perfect. If he would have been a second later, I think that could have been a massive advantage here for KINGZERO. But now even Feifei putting a little bit more work with the rifle. Now you can see Nayu was trying to do something and he get caught with the flashbang. So now, YSH, he's by himself to anchor this down. Not going to happen. Right back to a tie game, just like that.
AlQadsiah really letting KINGZERO know. I mean, that is, like I said, that's not a round that you should be losing at all. KINGZERO, that might be their chances of picking up this upset. Gone with the wind. A 5v3, and then a 4v3, and then a 3v3, and then a 2v3, and then a 1v3. And it was over. So many chances for KINGZERO in that round to still pull it back, but now they're going to have to do it the good old-fashioned way. They're going to have to do it the hard way. I mean, this may be a map where overtime is brewing as well. Scoreline getting close, 7-7.
Yeah, it's a question who's going to go for this peak first. Is it going to be Silva or is it going to be XN? And Silva, oh, he's really wanting it. He's hungry for it. I was thinking he's going to, surely he's not going to overextend this, but XN, he's just posted up on this. Man, this is a little bit of a cat and mouse, a little bit of chicken. Oh, okay, they both know where each other are, and XN is going to be able to find them. So Silva gets gets caught, fully exposed, but the HP low here for XN. So he's down to 7, so not bad. It's not like it was a convincing duel, but it's still a man advantage.
Yeah, we'll take it. Man advantage every day of the week. Just going to have to use XN as maybe a lurk or an entry fragger in this round. You know, set up, even in a position like this one, could be not too bad. If an A hit comes through from KINGZERO and he can shoot someone in the back on their rotate or just go for a late wrap, sort of mitigate some of that disadvantage of having low health. Try and find a cheeky fight as opposed to a straight up duel. But KINGZERO are just going to pause. They're going to really wait. See if they get any kind of re-aggression, and XN is the one that's sent forward looking for information, but he'll end up going down, and not such a fan of that from KINGZERO. It's not really achieved a whole lot. You know, it may keep the B defenders interested. Still 2 players you have to get past on the A side. Here's the entry attempt. 9U can't get anything done. Feifei and VNC holding strong. And now the wrap in through mid. Too late to make an impact, and KINGZERO faltering at the final hurdle.
Yeah, really, really good work from Feifei too. Like, and again, that's what I was kind of making the comment on the first half, is like him playing this well with the M14. Like, he's just running around. He's putting the, you know, the extra ammo in the gun. He's getting himself in these fights where he can get right into their face, and putting a rifle like that into full effect. Love to see it. He's been able to anchor this site, you know, quite a few times. I was a little bit critical because it's just him and VNC, but so far it's been good. Like, these guys have really been able to lock this A site down. It's been B that's been more of the question mark, and that's kind of the weird thing too, is that's where they typically put the 3 players, and that's where they have a little bit of a stack. So now KINGZERO, it makes me wonder if they've realized, like, look, let's just go back to this. Let's go back to what we know is going to work and to go for something at that B site.
Yeah, KINGZERO are going to be kicking themselves for the position they found themselves in the second half. They could have probably already finished this map off.
Yeah.
But just goes to show the experience and tenure that the AlQadsiah roster now has. Shining through in the big moments, the high pressure when it does hit. They are the ones that are rising up at the moment. Another A finish by the looks of things. KINGZERO going to toss a little bit of util over towards the B side of the map to try to draw those rotates, but the A hold has been good. Feifei gets aggressive. 1 for 1 is not enough, but you've got to pre-rotate. You've still got 2 players over here. Action and the VNC looking to set themselves up with a crossfire. Nade's going to go into the boxes. VNC moving out. Can retake that strong position as that timing comes through, and KINGZERO not looking confident on this hit at all, but they do find a couple of quick entries, and now the round swings back in their favor.
That could have been so much different if VNC was going to be able to find that secondary kill, but XN is actually just going to tuck away. He's just going to, you know, disappear in that fight, and now these guys are going to play the low ground. YF's going to be the one that's going to be the first point of contact. He's going to try to see what he can do, but now they're playing this really a passive approach onto this, and they're trying to let these guys go for the fight. And you can see they got the timer halfway through, so they still have a little bit of time that they can work with. And now the fake defuse might be able to catch them a little bit. No, not at all. And we see KINGZERO bounce right back into this game. How? I don't even understand anymore.
I might have cursed it when I said there's a chance at OT.
Yeah, you
first game of the tournament. First game of the tournament.
You might have done it.
Are we heading there? 8-8 the score now.
Feeling like that could be the case.
Yeah. 2 rounds to go in regulation. And it has been very back and forth, very, very tight in this second half. Really, really close. Feels very tense right now. You know, you're really hanging on every pick. The opening picks especially feel so important. But I think KINGZERO, they've figured out maybe that the A side is kind of where they're finding that weakness. They're not feeling great about the B side, so they're going to, again, just try and crack the nut that is the A bomb site.
Well, we've seen before that, you know, again, that Feifei's the one that's always got the counter flash, and they throw it right around now, but they actually dodge it. This is where now... Oh, no, Feifei! I can't even believe he gets that double kill, but maybe it's all for nothing, but Action's at least there to help him out. So now the bomb's still in the possession here for KINGZERO, but they got to get this done. They got to get this planted. That's what they're going to do. So now AlQadsiah in the position here for a 3-on-2. Can they be able to finally get this retake done, or could YF be able to find something magical here with the sniper?
I mean, this is definitely doable for KINGZERO, right? Like, YF, a great point from you. He opens it up, brings it back to 2-on-2. XN's in a position where he could multi-frag as well. Time ticking away. AlQadsiah going to have to be quick. They're going to make it in through vent. 3 players through vent. Flash over the top. That's YF down. Now it's onto XN, and this is where it gets really tough. He's been spotted. The spray onto MG was decent, but not enough, and the defuse will come through. AlQadsiah will find the round. They will go up 9-8. Series point now for AlQadsiah.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. And again, I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. Feifei has been able to save the day. The fact that he's been able to find these double kills, he's been able to put himself in the right position, the right time. You can see it's a nuisance. You can even see the frustration that's built up here for KingZero. They're starting to get annoyed. And now they realize they need this round to push this overtime that you were kind of potentially alluding to, is the fact that this could maybe be the case. But it's all come down to this.
Is it going to be another A hit? Right? Like, do you gamble on it again? I agree with you. I think the A defense has been quite stellar with the amount that they've been tested. Being able to find 2 or 3 kills like that on the defense as a duo is really massive. They're going to do it again. KingZero, they really feel like they've got... I mean, the flash coverage is great, but, like, you're not getting into the site. Ooh. Flash over the top from AlQadsiah to try and disrupt the plans, and it has. It has disrupted them. So KingZero going to call the cancel. Player in the event was spotted. Big wraparound though by Silver. And that is unexpected by XN. This could be the end of the map. If he's able to hold on to this position, maintain, or even just get himself 1 more kill on the way out, it would be huge for AlQadsiah. He is able to get out alive. That is huge. MG gets 1 more. Man. And KingZero falling flat on their face at the 11th hour.
Yeah, this could be them just kind of, prematurely throwing the white flag onto this, because now they've lost 2 players. Now they have to do something about digging deep onto this one, because you have 9U, YSH alive, YF here too. So you do still have the sniper. The TRG is a threat, but they're going to go right back to the plan of attack. They're going to go right back to the original bread and butter. They think that they know something that we don't here, Jordan. They're going to say, you know what? They're stubborn. They want to go here for the A-pop one more time.
Jump spot here from Feifei. He's spotted a couple of players coming out the vents. Util's getting dumped. Counter Util landing in the faces of KingZero. Again, disrupting their plans. 3 players to try to make the entry. Now just 1. YF alone, and that is that. AlQadsiah will secure map 3, 10-8. It was a stoic effort from KingZero, and they really did take it to the favorites in this matchup, but we do get the expected result with AlQadsiah finding the victory.
Yeah, you honestly love to see it. That is a little bit of a, big turn of events where they got